everyone. Welcome to A Tour for Own's live salon today in partnership with District Fray. My name is Kaitlin Calogera. I'm the president of A Tour of Our Own. I'm excited that you are joining us today. I'm also excited that we're joined by so many incredible women, badass women, some would say. All the women here today were featured in District Fray's Women's History Month edition as change makers. I'm here with editor-in-chief of District Fray Magazine, Monica Alford.
So District Fray is a lifestyle and entertainment magazine in the DC area. We were formerly on Tap Magazine, and we relaunched last March, about 2 weeks before COVID. So really fun timing to rebrand and launch a new magazine. But it's been a really wonderful year because it gave us the opportunity to focus more on human interest and storytelling and really supporting the local community, going very hyper local and just, talking to people about how they're surviving, how they're pivoting, what kind of support they need, whether they're in hospitality or the arts or other industries. So I think it's actually been a really great way to grow our readership and our Fray magazine family that we're really proud of.
So A Tour for Own is the first tourism company in Washington, D.C. to focus exclusively on women's history. So I'm a D.C. tour guide, and after years of talking about our presidents and lots of war memorials and sort of the same old stories, I really wanted to highlight women in history. We wanted to talk about the suffrage movement. We want to talk about women in government and women in the military. And so that's been our major goal. However, we work in the tourism industry. So when people come to us, they say, well, we want to take a tour. What are we going to do next? And it's part of our mission and our goal to say, well, go to this woman-owned restaurant, go to this woman-owned boutique, do your shopping, do your eating, do your DC culture within our sustainable system. So that's kind of how TOHO came to be. And that's why we are supporting these kinds of salons and these programs where we can engage with all of you.
Well, first of all, hey ladies, it's good to see all your faces. So I'm Victoria Reese. I'm the co-founder of Transformer, which is a nonprofit visual arts organization that has been located in the Logan Circle area at 14th and P Street Northwest since 2002. We're coming up on our 20-year anniversary in 2022, which is really exciting.
Thank you. I'm Jojo Roof. I'm the managing director of Theater J. I have sort of worked my whole career within the theater community in DC. Leela, I'm actually also a DC native, so rare to find two of us in one space. I feel very fortunate to be within the arts world in DC. I can certainly only speak to theater, but it's an incredibly generous, collaborative city. I think more so than almost any city I know of in the US.
My name's Lindsay. I am the founder of Studio Made Architecture and Design. We're a small architecture office working on everything built environment, everything design. I would say maybe half our work is residential and half is everything else.
Hi everyone, happy to be here. I'm Sarah Quintero Schilling. I am the co-owner of Schilling Canning Company. It's a local restaurant in DC's Navy Yard. So I actually wear two hats during the day. I also a pediatric dietitian. So I work for a hospital and I do treat pediatric children. So that's my day job, and my night job is to be at the restaurant and run the restaurant with my husband. So it's quite a full-time job, and we have a daughter as well and one on the way. So it's been quite a year for us, but we're excited, and I'm happy to be part of this amazing group.
Really, my mission is to showcase the amazing immigrants and immigrant food we have in the DC area. And so I create boutique events that go all around the DC area to some of the best immigrant-owned restaurants and invite those owners to share their personal story, share their culture, and then share their food with our guests for about a 2-hour really intimate experience. Where
I feel very strongly about just trusting intuition, and I feel like thus far it's served us well. Even I'd say with the birth of districtlylocal.com, Mariana and I both had a million ideas of ways we wanted to take it, but just ultimately had to say, okay, what are kind of the core features that we want the website to have? We want it to be searchable. We want to have keyword search. We want to have categories. The filters, of course, for ownership are the most important things, and just saying, okay, well, even though we may feel there's so much more we could do, like this just feels great, and let us pursue this because it's what feels right.
The overview is we also spread to doing resources for brands. So if you go to districtlylocal.com now, you can see there are grants, pop-ups, opportunities to get into different stores as well. So that was then it kind of shifted added to our focus just to make sure we were supporting the brands in every way we could.
And I do have to say, I do agree with Leela. I always do go with my intuition. That's something I've spoken about for so many years. I said there's something about the women's intuition that your gut feeling, go with your gut feeling, because I feel like mine is right most of the time.
Mariana, always maintain your integrity regardless of your goal.
So this one was actually inspired by my dad. It was something he would always tell me. And so I was like, it applies to many assets of your life, whether it's your business or projects you're working on or anything else. So I've lived by it in everything that I do. And I think it's a good one. It's an easy one to follow if you think about it. It's very direct. Just follow your integrity.
Lindsay, dare mighty thing.
The word dare is appropriate because it has thrill and risk, and it has joy and anxiety. And I think those things fuel a lot of leadership, a lot of change, hard work, and what we all do all the time, which is making things happen and bringing people together.
Let's see, Jojo, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
And to my mind, we have one chance to be on this world and to sort of do what we want and to really just take it. Be sort of wild and also not too precious about things.
So Kaitlin was also featured in our roundup, and her mantra was, where there is a problem, there's often a solution that can be manifested with creativity, optimism, and discipline.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in finding solutions. I think we have this limited period of time where we get to be upset, angry, or distraught over a problem before we have to pivot and start finding ways to solve it and move forward. I think that's something I try to do in my personal life, but it certainly drives me as an entrepreneur.
When I first moved to DC, one of my favorite locations was the Shevchenko Monument near P Street in DuPont Circle. And the reason that was a big deal, he's very famous in Ukraine. He's a well-known bard, author, activist, political activist, to ensure that the Ukrainian language persisted even after Soviet rule.
Going to read in the garden Dumbarton House was just such a lifesaver last year for me.
For me, what I really love is the Dumbarton Oaks Parks Conservancy, and it was designed by America's first female garden architect, landscape architect, Beatrix Ferrand.
I love the Washington Monument. I grew up in Richmond, so I would visit my family, drive up 395 and peek over and look down on the city below. And there was the Washington Monument, and it's like, now 20 years later, this is home, and that monument just beckons me home.
But I also love Hillwood Estate, which is close to my house up in Petworth. It was the property of Marjorie Merriweather Post, a CEO, a businesswoman.
Like my heart pitter patters talking about the black cat. But I would say Roosevelt Island is one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite places to walk my pup and go with my son. And there's also a really nice trail run if you park there and go left towards Potomac Heritage Trail. It's a really lovely single file trail that goes all the way up to Great Falls.
Well, I just finished reading Madeline Miller's Circe, so I'm obsessed with Circe right now. And for me, she is just like everything.
The figure of who inspires me, I would say Lena Kostenko, who is a famous Ukrainian poet and activist. So I admire her for continuing her passion, but not being afraid to help others while she's doing that.
And I think, Ruth Bader Ginsburg reaching across the aisle, fighting for women's rights, but also sort of being collegiate and really friendly and a huge supporter of the arts.
To highlight two women that are making history in DC that I really admire. One of them is Chef Sang, who has started the Lao food movement and has numerous restaurants in the DC area. And then the other person I really think is doing a great job and is going to be really remembered in the DC food movement is Dina, founder of Fava Pot. And she started out with just a food truck. Food Network has named her food truck one of the top 20 in the nation.
My inspirational tribute will be just to women from history who have had it way harder than we have had and have had extreme circumstances, and the women around the world today who still face extreme circumstances. I'm inspired by them and their fortitude to lead inspiring lives, work hard, have careers and families, and despite it all.
The women in Bolivia had to fight a war when the men couldn't do it anymore. There was like so much defeat, there was so much bloodshed, and the women were the ones that stood up and were actually able to fight and stand up for the country. And I find that story so amazing, and it just shows like the willpower that women have to be able to keep going and to be protectors, and to make sure that not only you're keeping your house safe, but you're moving forward and ensuring the security of everybody when you can't.
And Sarah, I love that you are Bolivian. I didn't know that. I actually grew up in Peru and Bolivia, so I love these random little connections that we're making through this discussion. And my historical lady is Flora Tristan. She's a Peruvian French activist. She was one of the kind of early 19th century, one of the first women to come out and be very vocal about, I'd say, really abusive relationships and the role of society in kind of denigrating and oppressing women. She has a bunch of exploits and just great writings. And so I won't do her justice in 30 seconds, but I would encourage you to research Flora Tristan and check her out.
I also want to honor and thank all of you. You are, I'm inspired by you. You are role models in our community, you're leaders. And I think that we all have, a unique position and platform to continue shaping Washington, D.C., to continue shaping the United States of America. This is the nation's capital. So Monica, thank you for that. Thank you for being a community organizer and pulling so many wonderful people into this room today. This is exactly what we have to do, right? The stories of women in the past are important, but our stories are important too. And we have to continue supporting each other. Monica, I'll give you the last word here.
Wow, so much pressure. Well, first of all, thank you so much. That was so kind of you. And honestly, these are the moments that I get the most excited. This is why I love what I do. I love to be able to feature amazing people in the city and all of the incredible work that they're doing. And DC is such a close-knit, wonderful community, and we're so supportive of one another, which many of us have said on this. So this just reinforces that even further.
Everyone have a safe week. Take care. Appreciate you all.